All right, welcome to a deep dive that's all about landing your dream job as a forester. You've got the passion for trees, but today we're going to add a bit more strategy.
Exactly. I mean, it's more than just loving the woods. We're going to tap into some fantastic resources that RoleCatcher has put together. We've got their career guide, the interview guide, and even a look at how their AI can help give you an edge.
Okay, AI. Now that's exciting. I'm already kind of curious about that, but let's set the scene first. Our listener is gearing up for a forester interview. What's the big picture? What kind of roles are we talking about here?
Well, you're stepping into a world where conservation meets business savvy. Think about managing whole ecosystems, timber sales, navigating community concerns. It's a really dynamic field. And these interviews, they really want to dig deep into your understanding of the balance between ecology and the economy.
Okay, so not just tree hugging. There's a real strategic element here. So how does RoleCatcher uh, fit into all of this? What's the AI advantage we're talking about?
Think of RoleCatcher's AI as like having a personal strategist, okay? It can analyze job descriptions, help you tailor your CV and resume to match perfectly, and that increases your chances of getting past those pesky applicant tracking
Oh,
systems.
yeah, those ATS things.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere these days. But there's more. It also can give you feedback on practice interview answers, just like a personal coach.
So it's about making your application stand out, A&D, refining those interview skills, which is awesome. But before we get into those specific questions, can you paint me a picture of what kind of career paths open up once you do land that forester job? What's the after picture look like?
Oh, absolutely. You could start as a field forester, then move maybe into research, conservation, even policy work. Some foresters specialize in urban forestry, working with trees in cities. And, technology is also really transforming this whole field. GIS, LiDAR, drones, these are becoming essential tools for foresters. So there's a lot of room for growth and specialization.
All right, that's a glimpse into the after picture, landing the job and kind of building your career. But for now, let's zero in on that crucial interview. What kind of questions should our listener be ready for?
Let's dive into RoleCatcher's interview guide because it's packed with potential questions you might encounter. We've pulled out a handful that really pinpoint what these interviewers are looking for.
Okay, get me.
Get ready for this. What inspired you to pursue a career as a forester?
Seems simple, right?
Yeah, but interviewers, they're looking for that spark, that genuine connection to the work beyond just, I like trees.
Yeah, I can see how it's easy to fall back on those generic answers, right? I love nature, I want to save the planet, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But I bet they want something with a little more depth.
exactly. They want to hear about the experiences that shaped your understanding of forests. Was it a childhood memory, a volunteer project, even a book that ignited your passion?
Oh, that's interesting. You know what's cool? RoleCatcher's AI, it can actually analyze your answer for passion and tailor it to the specific job.
It is pretty amazing what it can do.
So it's not just correcting grammar, it's really looking for the heart behind the words. But, let's say those initial sparks were a while back. How do you keep that passion alive in a field that, let's be honest, can be pretty challenging?
That brings us to another crucial question. How do you ensure that forestry practices are environmentally sustainable? And this is where you showcase your knowledge of current practices and your commitment to that balance between the ecology and economy.
That's a tough one. It's like you're walking a tightrope between conservation and resource management. How do you approach that?
Exactly. It is a balancing act. It's about demonstrating your understanding of those sustainable forestry principles, things like minimizing soil erosion, protecting water quality, preserving biodiversity. And here's the thing, interviewers want more than just textbook definitions.
Concrete examples from
Yeah.
your own experience.
Precisely. Talk about a project, right, where you had to balance the needs of a local community, let's say, with the ecological integrity of a forest. Describe the challenges, the decisions you made, and those outcomes. Did you have to compromise? How did you make sure both ecological and economic needs were considered?
And this is where that AI feedback can be really valuable, right? It's like
Yeah.
having someone tailor your experiences to the specific requirements of that role.
You got it.
Okay. What's the next question that's going to kind of put our listener in the hot seat?
Be prepared to discuss how you manage conflicts between stakeholders in a forestry project.
Mhm.
Remember, these projects involve a lot of different groups, and you need to show you can navigate those relationships.
Ooh, This feels like it's testing diplomacy skills, communication. Like it's not just about trees, it's about people too.
Absolutely. Interviewers want to see that you can listen to different perspectives, find common ground, work collaboratively. Choose an example where maybe you had to mediate a dispute, let's say, between a logging company and an environmental group.
Classic conflict, right?
Thanks.
That's a classic conflict.
Yeah.
How would you suggest approaching this kind of question?
Walk them through your process. How did you gather information, facilitate dialogue, and ultimately find a solution that addressed everybody's concerns? And again, the AI can help you refine this answer for keywords, tone, ensure you come across as a skilled communicator and problem solver.
That's a great tip. Using AI to kind of fine-tune your delivery can make all the difference. Okay, I'm ready for the next challenge. What other curveballs might those interviewers throw?
Here's one that's becoming more and more relevant. How do you incorporate climate change considerations into forestry management plans? And this is where you can really showcase your understanding of those long-term impacts on forests.
Climate change. It's such a massive issue. And I mean, its effects on forests, they're already being felt, right?
Yeah.
Everything from wildfire risk to pest outbreaks and even like shifting which tree species can thrive in certain areas. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And interviewers want to see that you're not just aware of these challenges, but that you're actively thinking about, how to adapt forestry practices. Did you use any climate change projections or models in your previous work? This is the kind of thing you can highlight. RoleCatcher's AI can help you make sure that stands out, making you a forward-thinking candidate.
So it's about demonstrating that you're not just managing for today, you're managing for the future of the forest, which is a cool way to think about it. This AI is sounding more and more like a secret weapon, to be honest.
Well, it can definitely give you that extra edge. But of course, the foundation is your passion and knowledge.
Okay, hit me with another question. What else should our aspiring forester be ready to discuss?
Let's delve into the economics of forestry with this one. How do you balance the economic benefits of forestry with environmental conservation? It'll need to show your understanding of sustainable land management, resource allocation, all that.
Oh, this is that tightrope walk again. It's like forests are vital for ecological health, for carbon sequestration, for biodiversity, but they also provide jobs, timber, resources that communities depend on. It's such a delicate balance.
You've hit the nail on the head, so be ready to discuss different forestry practices and their impact on both the environment and the economy. Have you worked on a project that successfully balanced timber production with, let's say, wildlife habitat protection? That kind of thing. RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze your answer to make sure it resonates with the values of the organization you're interviewing with.
That's really interesting. So it's tailoring your answer to the company's specific approach to sustainability. That level of personalization is pretty impressive. All right, I'm ready for our next interview question challenge. What do you have for me?
Okay, get ready for this one. Describe a time you had to make a difficult decision regarding forest management. What factors did you consider, and what was the outcome? This question really digs into your problem-solving and leadership skills.
Oh, I like this one. This is where those real-life experiences come in. It's not just about knowing the theory, it's about like applying it in those challenging situations.
Precisely. Choose a situation that really highlights your analytical skills, your ability to weigh competing priorities, your commitment to making those informed decisions. Were there any unexpected challenges, setbacks? How did you adapt? Again, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze all of this, making sure you're showcasing those key leadership qualities.
It's really amazing how this AI can kind of help you present your experiences in the most effective way. Okay, I'm ready for our final question in this round. Lay it on me.
Let's wrap things up with this one. What are your long-term career goals as a forester? This gives you a chance to show off your ambition, your vision for the future.
So this goes beyond just landing the job. It's about demonstrating your commitment to the field and your desire to grow and evolve within it.
Exactly. Think about where you see yourself in 5, 10 years, right? What kind of impact do you want to make? What areas of forestry are you most passionate about? The AI can help you frame this answer too, aligning it with those career progression opportunities that are offered by that specific organization.
Oh, that's brilliant. So it's all about showing them you're not just looking for a job, you're looking for a career path where you can really thrive and contribute.
You got it. Finding that perfect fit where your passion, your skills, and your aspirations really align with the organization's values and goals.
This has been like a really incredible deep dive into the world of forester interviews.
Huh.
But before we wrap up this part, I want to circle back to something we briefly mentioned earlier, the whole role of technology in forestry.
Oh yeah, good point. Technology is totally transforming this field. Interviewers want to see that you're tech savvy, that you're eager to embrace these advancements.
So let's talk about some of those game changers. We've mentioned LiDAR, GIS, drones. Can you give us like a quick rundown of how these technologies are actually impacting forestry? What are they doing?
Absolutely. So LiDAR, it uses lasers to create these 3D maps of forests. They provide incredibly detailed information on tree height, density, even understory vegetation. It's a game changer for everything from assessing timber volume to modeling wildlife habitat.
So it's like giving foresters X-ray vision into the forest. Wow, that's pretty cool. What about GIS?
Okay, so GIS, or Geographic Information Systems, lets us analyze and visualize spatial data. Super essential for tasks like, let's say, planning timber harvests, identifying areas for conservation, even tracking the spread of pests and diseases.
It sounds like GIS brings all those pieces together, helping foresters make those data-driven decisions. And what about drones? I can imagine those being incredibly useful in a field that covers such vast areas.
You're absolutely right. Drones provide that bird's eye view of the forest, allowing us to monitor forest health, assess damage after a storm or wildfire, even plant trees in those really remote, hard-to-reach areas.
This is incredible. I'm really seeing how technology is making forestry so much more efficient, more precise, even more sustainable.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important for aspiring foresters to be really comfortable with these technologies.
So, word to the wise, if you're prepping for a forester interview, brush up on those tech skills. It's not just about loving trees anymore, it's about knowing how to use the latest tools to manage and protect them.
For sure. The future of forestry is high-tech and data-driven. And those, the most successful foresters, will be the ones who can navigate both the digital and the natural landscape with confidence.
Okay, before we move on to part 2 of our deep dive, where we're really going to put RoleCatcher's AI to the test, let's give our listener a quick recap of the key takeaways from this first part.
Sounds good. So remember, acing a forester interview is about showcasing your passion, your knowledge, and your adaptability.
Exactly. You need to demonstrate your deep understanding of those sustainable practices, your awareness of the latest technologies, and your ability to think critically and solve problems in a field that's complex and always changing.
And don't be afraid to share those personal experiences, your insights and your vision for the future of forestry. Let your enthusiasm shine through, and remember, RoleCatcher's AI can be your secret weapon for crafting those compelling answers that really resonate with potential employers.
On that note, we'll wrap up part 1 of this deep dive. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore how RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine your interview answers and take your prep to the next level.
Welcome back to our deep dive into prepping for that forester interview. Last time, we really dug into those challenging questions, and now we're going to explore how RoleCatcher's AI tools can take your prep to a whole new level.
Okay, I'm ready to unlock the power of AI. Remind me, how does this actually work? Walk me through it.
Think of it as your personalized interview coach and resume editor, all rolled into one. Let's start with the resume builder. So you just upload your existing resume and then input the specific job description you're going for.
Got it. So it's not about starting from scratch. It's about making my resume laser focused on each specific opportunity. What happens next?
RoleCatcher's AI analyzes both your resume and that job description. It pinpoints any gaps, any areas for improvement. It even highlights your most relevant skills and experiences, ensuring your application really aligns perfectly with what the employer is looking for.
It's like having an insider's view of what the hiring manager wants, which would be amazing. It takes the guesswork out of tailoring your resume.
Yeah.
What kind of specific suggestions does the AI actually provide? What does it tell you to do?
It might recommend adding, say, industry-specific keywords, quantifying your achievements with concrete data, or even restructuring certain sections for a greater impact. Think of it as optimizing your resume for both human eyes and those applicant tracking systems.
Oh yeah, gotta appease those robots. So it's about making your resume stand out from the crowd and get noticed, which is awesome. But what about those all-important interview skills? How does RoleCatcher help with that?
Let's talk about their interview prep tools. They have a huge library of practice questions, and they're categorized by career level and skill set, so you can really focus on the ones that are most relevant for those forestry roles.
Okay, that's already more helpful than those generic lists of interview questions you find online, which are never that useful. But how does the AI actually help you practice and improve? What does it do?
This is where it gets really interesting. You can practice answering those questions directly on the platform, either by typing or even using voice to text. The AI then analyzes your response, focusing on things like content, structure, clarity, and how relevant it is to the job requirements.
Oh, wow. So it's not just a grammar check, it's actually assessing how well you're answering the question and what kind of impression you're going to make on an interviewer. That's pretty cool. What kind of feedback does it provide? Like, what does it actually say?
It might suggest adding more specific examples to really back up your claims, maybe quantifying your achievements, or even adjusting your tone to come across as more confident or enthusiastic.
Wow, that's a level of detail you wouldn't get from just practicing with a friend. What about those subtle things that might be working against you? Does it pick up on those too?
Absolutely. The AI flags any potential red flags that could raise concerns for an interviewer. For example, if your response to a challenge focuses on blaming others, instead of taking ownership, it would definitely pick up on that.
That's incredibly valuable. It's so easy to miss those subtle cues that might be undermining your message. Okay, so we've got our resume polished. We're practicing our answers. What else is key to acing that interview? What am I missing?
Remember, the interview is a two-way street. It's not just about answering questions, it's also about asking insightful questions of your own.
I love that. It shows you're engaged, curious, and you're thinking critically about the role and the organization. What kind of questions should our aspiring forester be asking?
Start by exploring the organization's overall mission and values, particularly as they relate to forestry and sustainability. You might ask, how does your organization prioritize sustainable practices in its forestry operations?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's a good way to kind of gauge their commitment to environmental responsibility. What other areas should we be exploring with our questions?
Inquire about the specific projects or initiatives you'd be involved in. For example, you could ask, what are some of the most exciting challenges and opportunities facing your forestry team right now?
Okay, that shows you're eager to contribute, to make a real impact. What about questions related to professional development and career growth? Should we be asking about that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to ask about opportunities for advancement and continued learning. You could say something like, what kind of professional development opportunities are available for foresters at your organization?
That shows you're thinking long term and you're invested in your career growth, which is great. This is fantastic. I'm already feeling more confident, more prepared, just knowing I can ask these kinds of questions.
Remember, those insightful questions, they leave a lasting impression. They show you're not just looking for any job, you're seeking the right fit for your skills and your aspirations.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here with RoleCatcher's AI tools and the art of asking insightful questions. Before we move on to practicing those tough interview questions, I want to bring back those big picture trends we touched on earlier, the forces that are shaping the future of forestry.
Yeah, it's important to stay aware of those trends. It shows you're engaged with the evolving landscape of the profession. Where should we start?
Let's talk about climate change. It's such a pressing issue, and its impact on forests. I mean, it's undeniable, right? How can aspiring foresters really prepare for the challenges that are ahead?
Well, foresters are really on the front lines of climate adaptation. We're seeing increased wildfire risks, shifting tree species distributions, the spread of pests and diseases. Interviewers will want to know that you're thinking about these long-term challenges.
So it's not just about managing forests for today, it's about anticipating the future and developing strategies to make sure those forests are resilient, which is really important. What other trends are shaping the profession? What else should we be thinking about?
The demand for sustainable forest products is on the rise. Consumers are becoming more and more concerned about the environmental and social impacts of their choices, which is a good thing.
That's a positive trend. It's putting pressure on the industry to adopt more responsible practices. How can aspiring foresters tap into this growing demand for sustainability? What can they do?
By showcasing their knowledge of sustainable forest management, certification programs, eco-friendly products, it's a chance to show your commitment to balancing those economic needs with ecological integrity.
So it's about being both a skilled forester and a sustainability advocate, which is great. This is really like expanding my view of what it means to be a forester.
The role is definitely evolving, and the most successful foresters are going to be those who can navigate this changing landscape, embracing technology, advocating for sustainability, and leading with, both expertise and vision.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's do a quick recap of the key insights.
Good idea. So remember, RoleCatcher's AI tools can be your secret weapon for crafting a standout resume and refining your interview skills. But the foundation is still your passion, your knowledge, and your ability to articulate those experiences and insights.
Exactly. Be prepared to showcase your love for forests, your understanding of sustainable practices, and your vision for the future of this vital field. And don't forget to ask those insightful questions. It's a chance to shine, and it shows you're not just looking for a job, you're looking for a career where you can really make a difference.
On that note, we'll wrap up part 2. In the final part of our deep dive, we're going to put all this knowledge into action, tackling those tough interview questions with the help of RoleCatcher's AI. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into getting ready for that Forester interview. We've explored the tough questions, uncovered the power of RoleCatcher's AI. Now it's time to put it all into practice.
Exactly. We're going to tackle some of those interview questions head on, and we're going to use RoleCatcher's AI to refine our answers, boost that confidence.
I am excited to see this in action. Which question should we start with?
Let's revisit that classic opener. What inspired you to pursue a career as a forester? Seems simple, right? But it's your chance to really make a strong first impression and showcase that genuine passion.
Okay, let's say our listener's initial response is something like, I've always loved nature, and I wanted a career where I could make a difference in protecting the environment. Forestry just seemed like the perfect fit.
It's a good starting point, but it could definitely benefit from some personalization, some specific examples. Let's see what RoleCatcher's AI suggests.
Okay, I'm inputting that answer into the platform now. The AI is recommending we add a specific childhood memory or experience that really solidify that interest in forestry.
That's a great suggestion. It brings the answer to life. It helps the interviewer connect with you on a more personal level.
All right, let's try this. I've always loved nature, and I wanted a career where I could make a difference in protecting the environment. Forestry seemed like the perfect fit. I remember when I was a kid, my family, we'd go camping every summer in the mountains, and I was just fascinated by the towering trees, the rushing streams, all the wildlife we'd encounter. Those experiences, they sparked a deep appreciation for forests and a desire to learn more about how to protect them.
Much better. Adding that detail about those childhood camping trips makes the answer way more engaging and memorable. What's the AI's verdict?
The AI gives it a thumbs up. It says that specific example. It adds depth and highlights that genuine connection to nature.
Perfect. Now let's move on to a more technical question. How do you ensure that forestry practices are environmentally sustainable?
Okay, this one definitely requires a good understanding of those sustainable forestry principles. Let's say our listener's initial response is, sustainable forestry is about balancing the needs of the environment with the needs of people. We need to protect water quality, minimize soil erosion, preserve biodiversity, while also providing timber and other resources. Kind of a mouthful.
Yeah, it's a good overview of the key concepts, but it is a little general. What does RoleCatcher's AI recommend?
The AI suggests adding concrete examples of sustainable practices and highlighting any specific experience we have in implementing them.
Excellent point. It's not enough to just talk about the theory. You need to show how you've applied these principles in those real-world situations.
Okay, how about this? Sustainable forestry is about balancing the needs of the environment with the needs of people. We need to protect water quality, minimize soil erosion, preserve biodiversity, while also providing timber and other resources. In my previous role, I helped implement a selective logging plan that minimized disturbance to the forests while still allowing for sustainable timber harvests. We also created buffer zones around streams and wetlands to protect water quality and wildlife habitat.
That's much stronger. Those specific examples really demonstrate your understanding of sustainable practices and your experience actually putting them into action. What's the AI feedback?
The AI loves it. It says the examples add credibility and showcase that practical experience in sustainable forest management.
Fantastic. Now let's tackle a question that requires some creative problem solving. Describe a time you had to manage conflicts between stakeholders in a forestry project. What factors did you consider and what was the outcome?
Ooh, this one can be tricky, especially when you're dealing with groups that have different interests and priorities.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating your communication, your negotiation, and those conflict resolution skills.
So let's say our listener's initial response is, I once worked on a project where there were disagreements between a local community that wanted to preserve a forest for recreation and a timber company that wanted to harvest trees. I had to listen to both sides and find a compromise that would satisfy everyone. Bit of a pickle.
It's a good start, but it could use more detail. Some insight into your specific actions and the thought process behind them. What does the AI recommend?
The AI is suggesting we expand on the steps taken to gather information, facilitate communication, and ultimately reach a resolution.
Great advice. It's all about showing the interviewer how you approach that challenge strategically and thoughtfully.
Okay, let's try this. I once worked on a project where there were disagreements between a local community that wanted to preserve a forest for recreation and a timber company that wanted to harvest trees. I started by holding separate meetings with each group to really understand their perspectives and concerns. Then I facilitated a joint meeting where we discussed potential solutions and worked collaboratively to develop a management plan that allowed for limited timber harvesting in certain areas while protecting the most ecologically sensitive zones and preserving those recreational opportunities.
That's excellent. You provided a clear, concise account of the situation, your actions, and that positive outcome. What does the AI say?
AI gives it a thumbs up. It says the expanded answer showcases strong conflict resolution skills and a collaborative approach.
Perfect. You're demonstrating that you can handle those tricky stakeholder dynamics with diplomacy and effectiveness.
This is amazing. I'm seeing how RoleCatcher's AI can help transform like a good answer into a great answer. Okay, I'm ready for our next question. Hit me.
All right, let's dive into the world of technology. How has technology impacted the field of forestry, and how do you stay up to date with the latest advancements?
This one is all about showcasing that tech savviness and your commitment to continuous learning.
Exactly. Be prepared to discuss those specific technologies and their applications in forestry. Don't be vague.
Okay, let's say our listeners' initial response is, technology is changing everything in forestry. We're using drones for aerial surveys, LiDAR for mapping, GIS for data analysis. I stay up to date by reading industry publications and attending conferences. A little bit textbooky, maybe.
It is a good overview, but it's lacking specific examples, personal insights. What does the AI recommend?
The AI suggests adding a specific example of how you've actually used a particular technology in your work and how it benefited the project or the organization.
Great way to demonstrate your hands-on experience and understanding of how technology can be applied to solve real-world forestry challenges.
All right, how about this? Technology is changing everything in forestry. We're using drones for aerial surveys, LiDAR for mapping, and GIS for data analysis. I recently used GIS to create a map of forest fire risk zones, which helped us prioritize fuel reduction treatments in the most vulnerable areas. This not only reduced the risk of wildfires, but also saved the organization time and resources.
Much stronger. That specific example of using GIS to map fire risk zones adds so much depth and demonstrates your ability to apply technology to address those critical forestry challenges. Good job.
The AI agrees. It says the example showcases those technical skills and a proactive approach to forest management.
Fantastic. You're demonstrating you're not just aware of the technology, you're actually using it to make a positive impact in the field.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. I'm so impressed with how RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine your answers, really boost your confidence.
Me too. It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket. But remember, the foundation of a successful interview is still your passion, your knowledge, and, your authentic self. Don't forget that.
Exactly. Be prepared to showcase your love for forests, your understanding of those sustainable practices, and your vision for the future of this really vital field. And don't forget, ask those thoughtful questions. It's a chance to shine. And it shows you're not just looking for a job, but for a career where you can make a real difference.
On that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into prepping for that forester interview. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and those practical tips to help you land that dream job.
Best of luck on your journey, and may your forests be evergreen.